A very good morning to our esteemed viewers and listeners. Welcome back to another impactful information sharing session with me, Grace Kavei. We are coming to you live from the Government Information Center, and we are also live on our social media pages, Facebook at Government Information Center-GIC and YouTube at Government Information Center GIC. Today we are discussing understanding Namibia through data. To give it some context, understanding that since the NSA, which is the Namibia Statistics Agency, officially released the 2023 Population and Housing Census results on 30th September 2024, it has been undertaking census dissemination drives to various stakeholders and now successfully disseminated the 2023 census labor force results as well as the census regional profiles to at least 13 regions in Namibia. And to shed more light on this, in studio I'm joined by Mr. Ipumbu Sakaria, the Manager of Corporate Communications from the Namibia Statistics Agency. Mr. Sakaria, good morning and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Good morning, Grace. Thank you for the opportunity.
To start our discussion, please talk to us about this data dissemination drive.
All right. Thank you. I think first and foremost, it's important to appreciate and thank the nation for having participated in the 2023 Population and Housing Census. Remember, it's a national exercise conducted every 10 years, and without the nation giving you responses, you'll never be able to get that data. So that is the first thing, is really just to say thank you to the Namibian nation and everybody who was present in Namibia that time, that they took time off to cooperate. So that is really appreciated. That's one. So the dissemination drive is really, when you conduct such a huge exercise, which costs you a lot of money, in terms of time, also costs you a lot of time to prepare, time to execute and implement whatever you need to do. It makes absolutely no sense to collect the data and keep it to yourself. The Statistics Act, it requires us to share or release or disseminate the information that we collect with to the nation. So it's a requirement. We are not allowed to conduct or collect data and literally keep it to ourselves. We are not allowed to do that by law. So what we have done is, ever since we released the data, we formally engaged all of our stakeholders to share the data with them. The modus of operandi was actually very simple. We had a huge stakeholder list of all the significant stakeholders that we need to see, that we need to share the data with. And our modus of operandi was underpinned by a principle that said, if we found it necessary to ask you for assistance for the census, we found it also necessary that we come back to you, report back to you and inform you what is the data that we have acquired. So that even next time we have data collection exercises, you might just be willing to participate in it because we came back to you.
These are the stakeholders?
These are the stakeholders. So our stakeholders, there were various. It was a huge list comprising, of course, of government leaders, regional, local authority leaders, students, private sector, all kinds of institutions, all kinds of clusters. So ever since the data was released officially in October 2024, we after that embarked on a massive dissemination strategy or implementation program where we essentially went and presented the data to the various stakeholders. Of course, we specialized or ensured that we focus the discussion to the audience. For example, let's say you're going to the banking sector, you'll make sure that you have as much information that you have collected which relates to the banking sector with them. When you go to the government, you do the same. When you go to the private sector, you do the same. When you go to the students, you do the same. So it was quite a hectic exercise. We crisscrossed the country. We went to see all relevant stakeholders that we literally ask for assistance, and as well those that we think need the data for their planning, monitoring, and for whatever purposes. And we went about to do that. I think it was quite successful. Maybe time was probably not we didn't probably have all the time that we wanted to do a bit more, but of course we still have time to continue to do so. But we are quite happy with most of the stakeholders that we've seen, because we were able to get the statistics to them, which of course they found relevant and necessary for their development planning or whatever that they're doing. So we can actually say we are quite satisfied. But of course, it's going to continue. It's an ongoing process, and we shall continue to do so. Yes.
While there, what insights do the 14 census regional profiles provide?
All right. Thank you. Good question. What they provide is, Namibia is a diverse country, very, very diverse. What you might find in Karas region is not necessarily what you'll find in Erongo region or in Omaheke or Kunene. So, but one is extreme diversity. Namibia is a very, very, very diverse country, not just from a population perspective, but in this aspect, we looked at your demographics, so population was the most dominant one. Critically, there were some regions where you had a major change of population dynamics over the past 10, 12 years. Examples is, for example, Kavango East, Zambezi, Ochodonjupa, and I think Commerce itself, where you had quite a very significant increase in population dynamics in those specific regions. You also had interesting data where, for example, your most populous region, of course, is Commerce. Of course, it hosts the capital city, which attracts the most people to its establishment for obvious reasons, opportunities, education, etc. But you also have regions such as your Karas region and Omaheke region, which, for example, showed that your town, just of Rundo alone, has a higher population than Karas region, and also a higher population than your Omaheke region. So the dynamics were quite very, very interesting. A lot of data was confirmed, was found. So the regions, the most populous regions, of course, in the country are your Commerce region, followed of course by Ohangwena region, Omsati, Oshana, and Toshkoto. And then the least populated are your Karas region, Hadap region, as well as your Omaheke region. Also, what it showed is that Namibia is a nation, is a very youthful nation.
Yes.
Very, very youthful nation. 71% of our population is below 35 years old. You also have a very significant proportion of those that are up to 14 years old. It's also a very, very high population groups. And then you start seeing that your dynamics in terms of your elders starts shrinking drastically. I think those that are above 60 years of age are roughly only 7% of the population, which is quite a very interesting data.
Yeah.
And also just when you look at your independence, 36 years after independence, you'll see that 72% of our nation was actually born after 1990, which really emphasizes your youthfulness. And then, of course, we have a lot of other data, housing data, employment data, and migration data. Migration, I think, very significant because what you see amongst the regions, you can clearly see who moves where to.
Yes.
So your Commerce region and your Erongo region are the two regions that attract the largest influx of people for obvious reasons. Of course, in Erongo you have your mining sector, you have your fishing sector, it's an economic hub. Your Commerce region, of course, it's the center, it's your capital city, it attracts a lot of people. It has around 482,000 people. It's a good sixth of the whole country. And then you also have indicators that clearly shows that the people that generally move from their regions, predominantly, of course, Ohangwena region as well as the Omsati region. So such data is available. Then, of course, you also get data on urbanization. Remember, at 1991, a good 70% of Namibia's population lived in rural areas. However, by now, we stand clearly at around 50%, 50%. So 50% of your population lives in urban areas, the other 50% in rural areas. What does that tell you about planning? What do you have to do in the urban areas to be able to absorb such a huge population group in terms of services, schools, all these kind of things that people need. So urbanization, very, very dominant. And I think there's also an element of, we have a lot of unmarried people in Namibia, especially when you look at the age group of 15 years and above. Why 15 years and above? Of course, you also want to measure potential child marriages, etc. But a good 70% of eligible people are not married. Of course, it explains it's a youthful population, very, very youthful population, but you have such socio-economic or demographic realities. Yes, education, of course, what we have seen over the years is the literacy rate has just declined slightly from 89% to 87%, but that is more related to your influx of migrants, especially from Angola and other countries that might maybe have come in for employment or whatever reason, but they might not be as literate as you probably would want them to be. But the information, massive information, like I said, from the regional profiles, some areas are very rural, some areas are predominantly urban.
Yes.
Erongo region, for example, 90% of the population is urban, as in contrast, for example, maybe to Kavango East or Omsati region, where you still have a 70, 30, 80, 20 dynamics. Then, of course, the other data that comes out, of course, is employment. I think by now we are aware that our unemployment is quite high. You have, of course, your strict definition, which stands at 36.9%. But then for planning purposes, you also look at your broad potential unemployment, which is the one that rather raises alarm, simply because it's pretty high considering your youthful population, and the fact that, of course, Namibia is considered resource-wise quite a rich country, so it's quite a dichotomy of why you are in a rich country with generally not really a poor, but a lot of people that can't find employment, etc. Yes.
I would like to know, with these notable differences in population in different regions and the population dynamics and the indicators that you have mentioned, what challenges does this pose on the dissemination drive?
Yes, from a dissemination drive, remember Namibia is vast.
Yes.
So on the dissemination drive, it's just that you need to try to reach each and every corner. So what we were doing literally, we had a top-bottom approach where we go to each region, to each major city, local authority or city, to each generally big university, your regional police headquarters, all kinds of institutions that you have. So that really didn't pose too much of a challenge in terms of disseminating data, because our role is really just to share the data that is there and make it make sense for people. Okay. But I think the challenge is really is your development planning, because your services must reach people everywhere in the country. Now, you know, Namibia is a very sparsely populated country, second least densely populated country after Mongolia, which means you have to drive vast distances or cover vast distances just to reach people.
Yes.
Of course, even during the census planning, when we're collecting the data, we had to go everywhere. And in some areas you find a lot of people, in some areas you hardly find any people. And it poses its own challenges and makes things a little bit more expensive than what you would want them to be. For example was Kunene, for example, where you'd have to go to all kinds of areas, whether it's now Twefelfontein, whether it's a Pupa, you have Kamanyap again, Ucho, such a vast space. Karas region, the same, very least densely populated area. Unlike, for example, now, let's say, Oshana region that is generally higher densely populated, as well as the Umsati region. But from a dissemination perspective, that really didn't give us a headache. But for planning purposes, I think that is more of a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now how will this regional data support regional government and local authorities?
All right. Brilliant. It's how will it help? It's information. Whatever you need to do, when you plan, monitor development or whatever initiatives that you want to do, you need data. Now, for example, the data allows you to first understand, I'm in this region. This is the population of my region. This is the population of my town. These are the people that I'm serving. What are the resources that come to me in terms of being able to do whatever I want to do? So budgeting plays a very big role. It can inform budgeting. Somebody can, for example, say, I'm having this huge population to look after. However, the resources that you give me are nowhere close to what we ought to do. Number one. Number two, of course, we also have your GIS-enabled information, where you are able to look at infrastructure, how far infrastructure is from the population, whoever needs it, and you'll be able to say, in this area, there are so many people, however, there are only so many schools. Or kids walk such long distances to schools. Maybe for planning purposes, we might want to put a school here or there, or a clinic there and not there, simply based on information. So it makes your whole planning much better, much more reasonable, and you are much easier able to provide services to the population because you plan accordingly. I'll give an example. If in one area there may be 200,000 people, and in the other area there may be just 50,000 people, if you don't plan properly, you might want to build more schools in an area where there are only 50,000 people, and you provide that same number of school facilities to the area that has 300,000 people, which at the end might look equal, but in terms of equitable resource distribution, you have actually not really been very effective. You haven't done justice to what is on the ground. So data allows you to plan properly, plan accordingly. Now, the same with the challenge that we have of employment or unemployment. It's always important to understand, who are they unemployed? Where are they? What do they do? Why are they unemployed? All this kind of data. Is it lack of education? Is it lack of qualifications? It gives you a lot of data, and that allows you then to come up with targeted interventions to address the issues that you would want to address. But like we always say, planning anything without data, it's like you close your eyes and you want to cross the road. It's quite risky. You are better off opening your eyes and seeing, okay, there's a danger here, or now the road is clear. We are just better off making use of data than not. The same with monitoring. We are having NDP 6 now. We just came from NDP 5. We are headed to Vision 2030. How will the government know that they've actually achieved their targets? We'll only know it if you look at what is it that you wanted to attain and what does the data say on the ground. And that is why it's important for us to be providing data, so that we'll be able to see whether we are close to our targets or not, and where we want to improve whatever we ought to do.
Thank you. We are discussing understanding Namibia through data. Thank you for staying tuned in. We are joined in studio by Mr. Sakaria by Mr. Ipumbu Sakaria, pardon me, the Manager of Corporate Communications from the Namibia Statistics Agency. Mr. Sakaria, can you talk to us about the key aspects that came out during the dissemination?
Yes. Number one, the engagement was very interesting, where you present data and your audiences actually engage you in that data, where either they have questions or they dispute the data or they agree with the data or they say, I didn't know about this data, or often it confirms something. I'll give an example. When we're in the Oshana region, when we were presenting to the governor as well as the council, our data showed that access to water was very high. It was then interesting to have the governor tell us that no, he agrees with this data, because when he went to familiarize himself with the region, one of the things that he found out from his councillors and everybody else is that access to potable water was not a problem. Most
Oshana
of
region.
Oshana region, for example, the majority of people had access to potable water. So there he could clearly agree with the data that no, I think this is correct. You also had other discussions that were quite of interest, were ownership of homes, households. Who owns households? Is it male or females? That was quite interesting. Where in some areas, especially urban areas, you had a predominance of female-headed households as compared to male-headed households. Then it was always a very interesting debate of what is going on here? Where are the men? Are they not supposed to be? Of course, we just provide the data. We don't
Analyze?
We analyze, but we also allow researchers to go deeper into the information and try to figure out what is the situation.
Okay.
In some areas, you had interesting data of male to female ratio, where some people would say, wow, this is so nice. Maybe we need polygamy, for example, simply because of data. Or you would have local authorities that then start telling you that, no, look at our situation. Why am I getting this type of budget if, for example, my population is larger than a whole region or two regions? Why do I get resources that do not match whatever I ought to do? So a lot of dynamics came out simply because of data. It always provided a very interesting ground of discussion. But one of the things that probably came out was appreciation that we came back to provide feedback. Because it's one thing to ask people to do something for you, and then once you get it, you are quiet. From us in corporate communication at the NSA, it's a crime. We believe that as much as we ask the nation to provide us with data, to us it is very, very critical that we come back to you and say, thank you for providing us this data. Now these are the findings we have, and you now see how you're going to make use of it. Because we're going to need you again, we're going to come back again, and you don't want people to say, no, but you've been here before, you've never given us information. However, if you continue engaging people, they start seeing the usefulness of the data, and they will understand why you collect this type of information, and then of course they can also make use of it for their own planning and monitoring. Yes.
This is a very interesting discussion, and I'm sure the public would want to get access of these reports. Where can they go to? All
right. All our statistics is free. It is available either electronically or physically. What we have done in terms of the physical aspect is when we traveled, went to disseminate our data, we ensured that we went there with physical printed copies. So printed copies, those that are interested, they can come get them from our office in Post Street Mall. I've also already noted that a lot of students that just walk past, they come in, get themselves a report and proceed. And then, of course, online platforms. It's available on our website, nsa.org.na, and there you can download whatever report you want or whatever statistics you are looking for, and then you can also request it. You can request detailed information, very simple, info@nsa.org.na, and then such data will be provided to you. So the data is available, it's free, and by law we have to give it out. So the more people want to make use of our data, the happier we are, because then whatever we collect it actually goes out there, and it's useful. One of them, in terms of usefulness, we recently released your informal baseline report that looked at the population, that looked at informal settlements, and we managed to invite quite a lot of significant stakeholders, local authorities, regional government, etc. And the findings themselves, they were so interesting that it generated very, very lively debates. And also we saw through the media commitments from local authorities to say, no, we are going to have a look at it. City of Windhoek is one of them, where you, of course, have a lot of informal settlements. And I think a week ago, something in the papers, there was an indication that they said that they are going to have an in-depth look at this. They actually didn't know the situation was that severe or that serious. And that is what we want our data to do. Our data is for development. It should enhance development. It should make the lives of Namibians easier by simply providing information to those that plan and monitor to ensure that we are able to fit those small holes that have that exist, so that we can improve the situation on the ground. Yes.
Now, for those that are not able to come to your offices physically and are not able to access you online, do you provide these reports at public places, libraries, regional offices, and so on?
Yes, we are in the process of doing so. When we printed, of course, we couldn't print the amount or the numbers that we wanted to do, but that is definitely something that is on the cards, and they will definitely be able to access that.
Okay.
Yes.
We have come to the end of our conversation. I would like to know from you, what message does the Namibia Statistics Agency want Namibia to take away from this 2023 census?
All right. The first one is for Namibians to know that we are a very youthful population. That is one. Number two, to then show you that development planning must consider these young people, because they are the majority of your population. Number three, you would want to look at your socio-economics of the country, because as often, of course, as it is mentioned, we are a rich country with poor people. That is out of order. Our inequality is one of the highest in the world. It's nothing to be proud of. We are probably the third after Brazil and South Africa. And we must not shy away from discussing such things, because it's the reality on the ground. The potential is there, the resources are there. We must just find a way to distribute our resources more equitable. And also what the main message that probably people want, I would want people to know, is that we appreciate them participating in our surveys. They must not get tired of us. We are going to continue coming back to them, because we have a lot of data collection exercises. The information will always be shared with them. And we also want to make people aware that you do not have to plan in darkness. The data is there. Most of the data that you would want, or that you might think is not there, we have it.
Okay.
We'll give it to you for free, and just ask us. You'll be shocked by what type of data we have, and we want it to go out. So the message is, Namibians, let's make use of statistics. It can make your life easier, your planning better, and we are more than willing to provide you the data that you have given us free when we came to collect such data from you. And then, of course, just to appreciate Namibians for always participating, and we look forward to them to continue doing so going forward. Yeah.
Mr. Zakaria, thank you so much for coming to our studios to share this important discussion on understanding Namibia through data.
you are most welcome, and thank you for the nation for listening.
Without diluting the message from the Namibia Statistics Agency, this is where we end our discussion today. From me and the rest of the crew, it's goodbye.